This demonstration was originally called before the barbaric assault of Israel started against Gaza. It was originally a demonstration about our fears that the Irish government want to undermine our tradition of neutrality. And as Sarah said, neutrality does not mean indifference. Neutrality does not mean doing nothing. In Ireland, our tradition of neutrality comes from the fact that we were victims of colonial oppression at the hands of the British Empire. And what the people who went out in 1916, in the 1916 Rising, and in the Irish Revolution, meant by neutrality, is that we would never side with empires and colonial powers. We would always stand with the oppressed of the world. Always with the oppressed of the world. And in that regard, Micheál Martin and this government have brought shame on the tradition of Irish neutrality. Over the last number of weeks, they have reinforced the narrative of lies put out by the US empire, by Britain and the other sponsors and supporters of the Israeli regime. Claiming somehow that the barbarism we are witnessing in Gaza had something to do with self-defense. And we are here to nail that lie. We are seeing in front of the eyes of the world a genocidal attack on the people of Palestine. And I was talking today with scholars. We were at a meeting organised by the Rohingya people. The Rohingya people, also victims of a genocidal attack in Myanmar. And today they organised an online international rally for Palestine and for Gaza. And at it, there was a speaker from Gaza, an academic, along with other academics who are specialised, including Jewish academics, who specialised in genocide. And they said that this is a textbook example of genocide. The dehumanisation of the Palestinians. And they pointed out, particularly the academic from Gaza, he said, this is unique. We have seen terrible genocides in history, in the Congo, of the Armenian people, of the Nazi Holocaust against the Jews. And this is another episode in that dark history of genocides now being perpetrated against the people of Gaza. But what is unique about this, what is unique and makes it all the more obscene, is that it is happening live on television in front of the eyes of the world. And what is also unique about it is the perpetrators of this genocide are not even hiding their genocidal intent. They are saying it in front of the world. We are going to starve an entire population of food, of water, of electricity, of medicine. They have described the Palestinian people as animals, dehumanizing an entire population. And yet, their sponsors, the United States and Britain, cannot even say a word ceasefire. They are supporting them. They could not continue this massacre without the support of the United States, of Britain, of France, of Germany, of people like Ursula von der Leyen. They are their sponsors. They have blood on their hands. So that brings us to our government. Because what should our government, with our history, be saying about this? They should be standing full square with the Palestinians and calling this genocide out for what it is. And they should challenge the lie that this began on October the 7th. This began with the British Empire promoting Zionism, the Nakba of 1948, and 75 years of ethnic cleansing, of apartheid, of persecution, of oppression, of relentless killing of Palestinians, and now genocide in front of our eyes. That is the truth, and we have to speak that truth to this government and force our government to tell the truth about this massacre. And that means not just words. We want action. There has to be sanctions. There has to be accountability. The impunity of Israel must end. And that means Micheál Martin must expel the Israeli ambassador. Israeli ambassador! 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 But I just want to conclude my remarks by saying this. It's not just about the ambassador. We're going to start with that. We begin with that. And if somebody in the Dáil does not bring that motion in front of the Dáil, we did it a few weeks ago, they voted against it. We will make sure it gets on the agenda of the Dáil in the next couple of weeks. And we want thousands and tens of thousands to be outside the Dáil. And we want to see people vote with the Palestinians by voting. But we must go beyond that. We want complete boycott, complete divestment, complete sanctions. The apartheid, no apartheid state, any more than South African apartheid, had any place in the company of civilized nations. They have no place. They have no right to defend apartheid. They have no right to defend ethnic cleansing. They have no right to defend occupation. The people of Palestine have the right to resist all of those things. And we need to stand with them. Okay. I'm going to introduce our first speaker. Sorry for going on so long, but we have to say these things. Claire Daly, who's been another voice in Europe, member of the European Parliament. Please give her a welcome.
Thanks, Richard, and thanks to everybody for turning out today. They say that our neutrality is outdated, it's embarrassing, that we're making a show of ourselves in front of our European neighbours and letting the side down. Really? What side? The side that drapes the European Union buildings with the Israeli flags? The side that jets off to Israel and says that we stand with you now and in the days to come, knowing what those days would bring. The side that arms Israeli genocide and cannot even bring themselves to call a ceasefire. Well, I'm not embarrassed by letting that side down. I'm bloody proud of it. And Micheál Martin may be happy to have Ursula von der Leyen speak for him, but I'm not, our president isn't, and I'm pretty sure that you aren't either. So you've got to ask yourself, If you don't trust Leo and Micheál on domestic matters, then why would you trust them when they say they have no plans to change our neutrality? You shouldn't. They are lying. We are barreling down the road to ever greater military integration with an increasingly militaristic European Union. And we are here to say today, we are not buying that and we are not paying for that. Enough is enough. There are billions now being spent on militarism that could be spent on the things that really make us safe, like housing and health and tackling climate change. Instead, all those funds are ending up in the pockets of the military-industrial complex. It's a sham. Our government thought that the war in Ukraine would be enough to let them shake off their pretense at adherence to our neutrality, but they were wrong. Our history tells us we need our neutrality and we are going to keep it. So we are here today to say we're proud of our peacekeeping record. We want to keep that, but we don't want to keep the bastardised version of our neutrality that allows our airports, even now, to use to transit weaponry to the Middle East from US empire. No active neutrality. We want our government to go out and fight for a unity, for peace resolution at the UN to enforce a ceasefire. We want them to demand an arms embargo on Israel. We want them to block US weaponry transiting to our shores. We want our naval vessels to bring humanitarian aid to Gaza. In this way, we are. So when they say our neutrality is outdated, it's not fit for purpose in the modern world, well, do you know what? It has more relevance in the modern world than ever before, because it is a beacon for citizens everywhere across Europe today who, like you, are on the streets demanding justice and peace. Our neutrality is at home with the majority of countries in the world who stand with the non-aligned movement, who believe in the peaceful resolution of disputes and the upholding of international law. And people around the world are off their knees demanding this and demanding justice for Palestine. It is our neutrality and our history that gives us a special affinity with the people of Palestine. That is something that we hold dear, very, very dear in these dark, dark days. So go from here on this wet and miserable November day to say no to war, no to EU militarism, no to Israeli terrorism, no justice, no peace. Long live Palestine, long live Gaza.
Thanks,